For the past few months, working with the Bamboo Lab A1 Mini, I've been really excited just printing crazy things, little things, big things, creating designs, coming up with my own concepts, all sorts of cool stuff. I've really dove so far into this world of 3D printing, and even beyond that, I'm on the level now where I'm looking to create a desk organization compatible series of products. So anywhere between 2 and 4 products I'm looking to work with, create, and launch as a package or individually, sold individually, but most likely I'm gonna try to do it all in one. This way it's a little easier for people to have everything set up. However it ends up is gonna be. Right now, let's get started on designing one of these 2 to 4 products. We're gonna aim for 3. If we can get to 4, awesome. We're gonna really aim for 3. The goal is to have a phone stand that charges your phone, an iPad, sketchbook, or tablet holder that can also double as a storage device if we can get there, if we have the electronics for that one. We might not be able to. And also some sort of pen holder with Post-it, whatever. Some people like to use Post-its, some people have sticky pads, notes, whatever you want to call them. I want to be able to hold pens, I want to be able to hold SD cards, I want to be able to hold some other simple things like maybe toothpicks, have a spot for toothpicks if you're just coming back from lunch and you forgot to brush or you're not near your toothbrush. A couple of things like that. So the first idea we're gonna try to sketch something out real fast, and then we're gonna put it into our CAD design program. We'll design it and we'll come up with a sample. We'll get our first initial development product phase, tested by printing our first test subjects, basically. That's it, let's get started. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Kevin Haggerty. I'm a retired auto mechanic, and I now do sales and media, which is basically combining the two, and a few other things. Still working with my hands very much on my own accord. And when it comes down to this 3D printer, this is a lot of fun. So if you're just tuning in, thank you for checking us out. Consider subscribing if I've earned your subscription by the end of the video. For all of you regular return viewers, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for checking it out. So let's get started. Let's design something, let's sketch it out, and we'll go from there. All right, so pulling together some ideas here. This is where I'm at as far as our numbers. Now for the phone stand, I was thinking about starting with the phone stand first and then tweaking the design. Obviously, we're gonna get our rough draft, our rough design. We'll throw it into the CAD and we'll create it from there. But the whole concept for this was to have this wireless charger be able to hold the MagSafe. So here is a sample of what I was messing around with last night. And if you can see, this is Shaper 3D. I'm not on Fusion right now, only because I've been shaping some things, sorry with the reflection there. I've been shaping some things recently in Shaper 3D, testing it out and seeing the difference between Shaper and Fusion 360 for newbies like myself, somebody who's just literally started CAD designing within the past couple of days, weeks, or months. Now, this is the one I've come up with so far, and as you can see, I have the pedestal. The idea was to take this sketch here. I've got my 56 mil, that's the width of the coin charger, like the Apple wireless charging disc. And then you have the specific measurements. The height, it's 4.5 millimeters high, tall. Now keep in mind, there's 2 versions of this. You have the original MagSafe design that was a touch thicker and a touch bigger. And then you have the version 2, which now comes with USB-C as opposed to Lightning. And to see those design characteristic differences, the new one has the cloth wire, very similar to your Apple laptops and all that good stuff. Now they're using that cloth covering again, or maybe new. And the older one has the polypropylene or whatever material. I'd love to find out that. Throw it in the comments if you know the exact material of what they make their wires out of. So if you can see here, I had the idea to have sort of like a little bit of a chamfered lower, have the pedestal here, and then the side profile showing that the chamfer is going on both the sides and the profile. When you're looking at it on both ends, it's gonna have almost like a triangle, but not a trapezoid almost. And then you have that at an angle. The goal is to have your phone sitting like this on an angle, because at night you want to see your you want to see the phone do its little standby mode thing. That's for Apple phones specifically. I'm pretty sure all of these other phone manufacturers do something similar. So what we've come up with here on this, and let me see if I can crank this down a little bit so you get a little better. There we go. Cool. What we've got going on over here, and check this out, this was version 1 or version 2 rather of my iPad stand. The first one might be better for today just because I think it's at a steeper angle. Yeah, just a touch. Now what I did here was I first started with my lower shape here. So I had this lower shape, I just created this by adding some lines, and then I extruded it out by, closing it, I extruded it. All of these chamfers and fillets, anything you see as far as fillets or chamfers, that was added after, right after the fact. Now, the goal was to get the new version. I want to use the new version of the Apple wireless charger simply because it's USB-C, and I believe that if everything is kept the same, it's a lot easier for people. Most people have something that charges with USB-C. So that's the concept. So I'm using the smaller the smaller outer diameter because the new one is a touch smaller, maybe like 3 or 4 mil small. I've got my height set here at around 5 mil, and once I do a test print and I try to fit that one in to make sure it's the right fit, then we can take it from there. I ended up putting a hole down the middle here by adding a separate plane. So what I did was I created an offset plane. I had it at just the right angle and dropped a circle and plunged it through. Did the same thing around back here. So these two circles now meet up inside, because if I turn this up, you can actually see that's the bottom of the tube. And then if we pull all the way out, hopefully you guys are seeing this on film here. If we pull all the way out, that's our hole that's leading out to the top up here. A little difficult to do when I'm trying to look at the cam here to make sure we're in film. So this is it. This is the first design that we're working with. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a test print of this. We're gonna print this one up. We're gonna make sure everything's on the up and up, the lines line up, the holes, everything is good. And then after that, we'll start going into the details, the actual aesthetics of it. Again, I just put some fillets on here just to make it smoother so it has a smoother feel right off the bat. This is not the final design by no stretch of the imagination. I'm gonna have some designs, some aesthetics and some nice designs on the front here. And I'll also put my little mark like I did on this one. This was KH Media Labs. That's my, that's my company logo, name rather. And then I have 001 for this was the first design. So technically this will really be 002. And that will go on here somewhere. The goal is to have those sequential numbers on my products and my designs, but not in a way where it's obnoxious and in your face. Just enough to show this is in a series of from the first one to the next one. And that's it. So let's get this one printed. Let's see what our fit and finish is on this, how our fit is. Is everything lining up well? Is everything in its right place? Is the hole wide enough to, to put the tail end of the wire in? And do I have enough room for this disc to sit nice and flush? And then I'll find a way to mount it later. Most likely I'm gonna mount it with double-sided tape. There's so many different varieties of ways I can mount this thing to this to make it permanent, but also serviceable if this thing ever fails, if the wire gets cut one day, take it from there. So let's get started with that. Let's test print this and we'll go. All right, so first version is printed very small. I judged the size on this one just a little too small. So overall, I like the start. It's not really even close to where I want it to be. I like the angle of the top here. I like somewhat the shape of the lower part here, how it drops down, gives a little bit of support in the back, but the majority of the shape is following the shape of the front here. I like it. Now, a couple of things to note. The hole for the wire itself is way too small. So here's an example of a USB-C, and it is not even close. So measurements were off on this. I eyeballed it. I didn't get the exact measurements, otherwise the hole would be at least the right size. So I'm gonna go back in Another point of focus here is the actual head. Two things of note. Now, with your wireless charger on the back of your phone, this needs to line up pretty precisely with the magnets in the wireless charging pad. As it sits right here, maybe this would work for an iPhone regular size, not the Max, not the bigger version. So maybe if you had like the smaller one. In any case, I want to make it versatile enough to for whatever phone you have, you're able to use it. So that's the other point here. This whole entire shape here, the upper part, is going to have to come up some, and it's going to have to grow in size because this is too small overall. I want it to look symmetrical as best as possible, but I also want to keep in mind that the stand, I don't want the stand to take, the lower part of the stand to take precedence over the top, meaning I don't want the lower part to overpower the look of the top, if that makes sense. At least that's what I'm thinking in my mind. So I'm going to go back in, I'm going to rework this. I'm just going to, grow it out a bit, and then we'll take it from there. I'll print another version and we'll see where we're at. I still have to get the MagSafe charger. I'm designing this basically just on measurements alone. This is the exact measurement, I know that, but as far as everything else, I want to make sure that the way the wire routes through the top here and then routes out the back, I'm gonna have to have enough significant play to actually get the wire to do exactly that. If you can see my thumb, you're gonna have to get the wire to bend somewhat. Now, if I wanted to do it really, in my opinion, not as professional, I could just bore a hole right out the back here, straight through, and not have it feeding down like this. Personally, I like things really, really clean. And when it comes down to it, that's the beauty of being able to get back into CAD design and start re-engineering things if you have to, or just start from scratch. So don't be afraid to get out there and test. Okay, so you spent 48 grams of filament. It's not the end of the world. Sometimes, for me at least, I like to visualize things prior to actually having the finished product. And the visualization just helps assist in the design process, or at least that's my thinking currently in the last 3 months of how I've been sketching and designing things. Cool, so this is version number 3. Okay, I'll catch you guys back up. This was the first version we had. This is what we did first. Simple, not even close to being the final design. Then I went for something a little bit more geometric with a little bit more sharper edges. Two things of note with that: I didn't add any support, so I had some issues. This is way too thin here, so that's not gonna work. So I kind of went back to the drawing board a little bit. I made it a little taller than this one, and the reason why is because, say you have your phone and you want, for standby mode, this is how it's gonna look, right? You get a really nice animation when it's plugged in, but there's no room for it to sit like this. The magnet won't reach the back, right? So I raised it up. Now we're at a level, excuse the supports, I haven't pulled the supports off. I'll show you some B-roll clips of it all cleaned up in a minute. Now I have the ability to mount this, well, maybe a touch more. It's gonna have to go just a tiny bit higher. Probably another inch or so, but standby mode, if I wanted to just create it for standby mode only, this is gonna work just right. I like the overall design better. It's a little beefier compared to the two. You can see the difference as far as my tilt angle, my overall size of the body has grown a touch, maybe not too much, just without the chamfers here. Really excited for this product. Again, this one I didn't punch any holes in for the wire just yet. I did on the very first one, and I decided, let me not do that this time. Let me not do that. And the second one, I only punched a hole in the back here. So for this one, this is not the final draft. Let me get all these supports off. Let me clean this up the best I can. And let's take a look at what this thing looks like with the supports off, with it nice and cleaned up. And we'll kind of have a little bit of a better idea of where we're headed, which direction we're gonna be headed at least. All right, well, here it is with the supports taken off. You can see I added pretty simple little design in the front there. This is gonna be something similar that I have throughout all of the Ultimate Desk series, the Ultimate Desk organization series. I kind of like the pattern that was put on the top here. I chose Hilbert curve. For the second version, obviously, I'm not going to do that. I might make a version where I have a rough edge like that, and maybe I'll do that with some fillets or whatever it is. Overall, I like it. I was able to incorporate the 004 on there, meaning this is the fourth design that I've had, from concept to sketch to render to actual product. This is the fourth different product that I've worked on. So I'm really excited about that, number one. Number two, keep in mind when it comes to anything like this, when it comes to anything creative, and let me spin this back over here towards me. Yeah, when it comes to creating and iterating, don't be afraid to continue to tweak your design, to continually work on making it better. When it comes down to products, it has to be something that you can relate to, but it also has to be something that can fill a hole in the market. Wireless chargers are very, very popular. As phones start to become faster and faster and the wireless charging capabilities get better and better, meaning AKA less heat, when your phone is connected to it wirelessly, it builds up more heat. It's a little slower than a 20-watt charger. So they have been working through development to make these things work better for us as the consumer. Therefore, I know this product is something that people want, people desire. Now it's just a matter of making the product desirable. So that takes time. It's not overnight. This will be almost the cutoff point, close to it, right? Now it's just getting a little bit more design on the exterior to make it a little bit nicer looking. Get my holes punched for the actual wire to go through. Make sure my measurements are all within spec. I'm gonna have to pick up one of these chargers to actually fit everything in there really nicely, make sure everything is good. And then other than that, start the process of looking to develop this into a series of products that I'm looking to put to the market. I love desks, I love desk organizations. I've mentioned that in the beginning of the video. I'm a real fan of organization, especially when it comes to the desk. When you have a cluttered desk, it becomes an absolute mess. And also to have the phone sitting upright or in standby mode, which leaves really nice animations for the Apple phones at least. It's something that you'd look at on the desk even without the phone on it and say, wow, that looks really nice. That's the ultimate goal, to have every piece when it comes down to the pen holder, the iPad or the sketch pad or the notepad holder, as well as the phone charger. I want to make sure all of these things are congruent, they look good, and they also look good naked, meaning there's nothing on them, there's no phone on them, there's no pens or supplies in that part, and or a notepad or an iPad or even a MacBook or a computer on the stand. I want them to all look good while nothing is on top of them. So let's keep working at this, let's see where we get, and we'll go from there. Okay, future me here, wearing the same shirt. That's how long it has been since I've started filming this video. The design you saw at the very end is not the final design, right? So we have a few here, and I'll just give you a couple of examples. This is close to where I want it to be. This, I went a little overboard, and the reason why I mentioned it in a short, that I was looking to add a little bit more industrial look to this and added a little bit more flavor, right? So my design idea was to extrude in 2 millimeters here, and I'm gonna add 2 millimeter plates on this. Keep in mind, I ran out of filament, that's why it's a couple different colors. Now, when it comes down to your creative ideas, sometimes you have something that is gonna be, you feel like it's gonna be perfect, and then you end up like, you know what, it's not right. That's okay, especially for somebody like me. I'm so new to this world of printing. So hang in there with me. If you're enjoying these videos, thank you so much for tuning in. We're really, really excited to grow this channel because so many things are coming out of 3D printing these days, CAD design. It's just a world of awesomeness. So thank you to all of you who have subscribed so far. To anybody who's tuning in, I hope I've earned your subscription. If I have, hit the subscribe, the like, and the notification bell so you get notified. Don't worry, you're not gonna be hounded with notifications every single day. I post a video about a week, once a week, give or take, a couple days here, a couple days shorter, and I post daily shorts. So if you're not into the daily shorts, just hit the subscribe and like this video, and actually share it with somebody. If you know somebody who's doing 3D printing and has been on the fence of, hey, I want to create an idea, I have an idea and I want to design a product, send them this video and it shows, hey, look, you don't have to be anybody special to get started with this. So for everybody who's enjoying their holidays so far, thank you so much for spending some time with us here today on this video, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Take it easy.